I just feel like we didn't need the Clayton story. We've seen the Clayton story. We know the Clayton story. Attractive, hunky, white sport guy, and like being cute and sporty. Like we get it. We've seen it. Hi all, we're Kelly and Julie, and we're here to find love. Today we are here to talk about and recap the Bachelorette Season 18, Episode 6 of Michelle Young's season. In this episode, we finally got the final four for the season revealed, which is very exciting. So we're going to get into talking about those final four. There will be some spoilers in this episode, so if you have not been spoiled as to who the next Bachelor will be, click out of this video. But if you do know what the rumors are about who's going to be the next Bachelor, keep watching because we're going to be talking about it in depth. Okay, so first of all, to start with a recap of the episode, we had, as usual, one one-on-one date, one group date, and then another one-on-one date. So 2 one-on-one dates. So the first one was with Clayton, and that date was picked out by Michelle's fifth graders, which was extremely cute.
How cute. So cute. They just read everyone in that room to filth. It was just amazing. They
did. Oh my gosh, It was so funny, and it really tickled me that what they loved about Clayton was that he could carry groceries. So Michelle went on a one-on-one date with Clayton, and it seemed to be going well, but at the end of the date, she decided that there was something missing, and she sent him home. We moved on to the group date. During the group date, the main thing that happened was Martin was being just a weirdo, kind of really leaning into some of the same misogyny stuff that we were talking about last week, starting to directly kind of attack Michelle and Michelle's character, not to use that phrase, but it did seem like he was pretty directly being like, she's immature and she's insecure and so on and so forth. So Martin did that. Olu, aka Swolu, because he's swole. Olu was the one who went and told Michelle that Martin was bad-mouthing her. Michelle got upset, understandably, and sent Martin home. Martin had a really egregious, villainous exit where he just continued to trash talk Michelle to the camera. No one really cared. We moved on. The last one-on-one was Julie's favorite, her number one, the man himself, Brandon. So Brandon got the final one-on-one. They had a really cute date. They went and visited Michelle's family home, and he got to meet her parents. Extremely cute, lots of sweet vibes going on there. He got a rose and moved on. And then finally, during the rose ceremony, Michelle canceled the cocktail party, said she already knew what was going on, and she sent home Rick and Olu. So that leads us to our final four. So our final four officially for Michelle's season are Nate, Joe, Brandon, and Rodney. I have thoughts, lots of thoughts. Julie, do you want to kick us off, though?
The chemistry is always with the final four. I love the final four. Brandon won me over a little bit. I thought it was a little bit too quick that he asked for permission for, her hand in marriage. That was a little bit intense. That kind of speaks to, like, how we commented about, like, his playboy ways, like, how he's a little bit of a smooth talker.
Right.
I think he buys into the fantasy, and he just kind of, like, does things by, like, the book.
Exactly.
Like, he's like, oh, this is what precedes the next thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's totally genuine, but I do love that he was able to, like, have that conversation with the parents. Do I think it was, like, the right time to ask that in the first conversation? No. Do I think the show and production loves it? Probably. Because he's, like, that type of romantic that they just love to, like, hype up,
I was wondering if you would think that was romantic, because I know we had a whole discussion about Brandon and whether we liked a smooth talker or not. You said you liked it, and I said that it was too much for me. And I did kind of get the sense that he was almost like smooth talking her parents, kind of like saying all the right things. And it seemed like her mom was like totally eating up, and she like really liked him. Versus her dad was kind of like, what are you doing, man? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, he seemed just like he was being very nice, but he was just like he seemed skeptical to me. But the funny thing is, I do think that Brandon actually really likes Michellle. Like, I do feel like in all of his, like, camera interviews, his in-the-moment interviews, he just seems so smitten and I think, like, authentically, genuinely excited to be dating her and connecting with her. So I actually do think he likes her, but his like, way of expressing it, it feels fake, even though I don't actually think it is. I think it's actually pretty genuine. He's like too much following the playbook, like you said, such that it just doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. Even though I believe he believes it. But do I think that it's real love? No.
Interesting.
Him not being able to discern the difference is a little bit, like, concerning.
Well, Julie, what is the difference? Please tell us.
I mean, I think it's clearly between, like, infatuation, limerence, and, like, love. Like, love where you've really been able to, like, see someone during, like, a lot of, like, different enduring personalities or, like, a lot of different experiences. Like, he has seen Michellle in different contexts, but has he really seen her through all of these different states to say, I love you entirely? No. So for him to kind of be, like dropping, you know, like, I'm falling for you and I really want to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage, that felt like it was jumping the gun a little bit too fast. And I just have a problem when people move really, really fast, because it's like, do you like the image or do you like the person? If you like the person, it takes time. But then I know that the show, like, you have such little time with, like, Michellle that you want to make every moment count. But, like, when you make it artificial like that, I don't know. Yeah. I didn't love that.
To be honest, in general, I think it's super weird when guys ask girls' parents for permission to marry their daughter. Like, that to me feels like very, like, an outdated tradition of, like, I don't know, not to go there, but very baked in patriarchy and very baked in this idea of, like, ownership over women. Like, the parents own this girl and I'm going to be taking her, and it's like a transaction. Like, it just feels very transactional. And even when Michellle, like, kind of got up to go away, I kind of wondered if she would be the kind of person who would find that a little weird if her partners ask her parents for her hand in marriage. Like, I think Michellle kind of has some pretty progressive viewpoints about relationships, and so I kind of got the sense that was one thing that made me think, like, maybe Brandon and Michellle might not be fully compatible just because their values might not be fully aligned. I mean, I think Brandon has a good heart. I don't think he meant any harm by it whatsoever, but it just made me wonder, like, I wonder if just, like, values wise, like, I think Michellle is a little bit, you know, like, radical, liberal, progressive. That's just the sense I get from her, versus just, like, the nature of Brandon asking for her parents' permission to marry her. Like, that felt just, like, a little bit traditional, and I don't get the sense that Michellle is very traditional. That's just a guess. I don't really know, but that made me wonder if there would be a compatibility issue there.
That's a good point. I think that out of all of the men, Brandon is, like, the one that feels more like a bubble. Like, he really, like, his personality, his romancing, the way that he approaches Michellle is perfectly well-suited to being on The Bachelorette. Like, if you were in that moment, I think people, like, a lead like Michellle would like Brandon because he's so assertive with his feelings and he's so big with, like, the statements he wants to make, and, like, he really doesn't mind the way that the show accelerates the commitment. He embraces it.
Yeah,
I do think that. For Michellle, who is very grounded, and I think she has this, like, really nice practicality to her, she might be, like, into the way that Brandon moves, but do I think they would have a good relationship outside of the show? No, I don't. I think that, like, outside of the show, when, like, really shit gets down, I haven't really seen them outside of, like, a playful context. Like, they've had some serious conversations, but it feels a little bit more like butterflies being, like, excited around each other, like, that kind of, like, best friend hanging out vibe. It doesn't feel something like, for example, like Joe, which I think Joe is definitely Michelle's type to, like, a T, and Nate as well.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing, too, about Brandon is it's very clear to me that he likes her a lot. I just don't actually know that she likes him. like the way that she like seems to like be so kind of like googly eyed around Nate and Joe. Like I don't think she has that same energy toward Brandon. I think she just recognizes that Brandon seems to have a really good heart and is so like into her and committed, and I think that she wants that. Like those are attributes that she wants. She wants someone who is like super into her and is really going to like commit to the relationship. But I just don't know that she actually likes him outside of his dedication, if that makes sense. And so so I kind of don't really see the Brandon thing going very far. I do think that Joe and Nate just feel like her natural front runners. Even Rodney, like, you know, I just don't know that her relationship with Rodney has been necessarily progressing.
In that way, if we had to like divide up the top 4, Rodney and Brandon feel kind of like on the same par to me. Like best friend, fun vibes, this like giddiness, but the depth that like Joe and Nate have feels different. They feel like a top 2 to me. They feel like actual like husband material in Michelle's eyes. Like you can tell that she really likes Joe and Nate.
Okay, so we have to talk about the one person who I think everyone thought would make it to the final 4, but who didn't, which was Clayton. I think a lot of people just assumed Clayton would be in the final 4 because, and here's where the spoilers are going to start. Spoilers have come out, rumors that Clayton is very likely going to be the Bachelor next season. And I think they've already started filming that season, so I think it's pretty confirmed.
They're midway through, baby. They're
my word. So, you know, I think everyone assumed Clayton would make it farther than he did. But to your point, Julie, like, I don't know if I ever sensed any chemistry between Clayton and Michelle. What do you think?
Yeah, he seems like a really good date. I think he just seems like he'd be someone that you would have a really good time with, and then it would just peter out. Like, you wouldn't be able to get a hold of each other because you're just not truly that excited about each other in a way that requires prioritizing. Like, I want to spend my time with you. Clayton and Michelle both look good on paper. When they collide together, there's a lot of, like, fun to be had. Do I think there's a lot of depth? No.
You know, I think Clayton seems like a perfectly nice guy. I haven't seen any, like,
we always say
bones.
That. We're just like, he's fine.
He's fine. Like, yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not like he's done anything shady, anything mean, anything, like, not smart. I feel like he's just been, like, a very sweet, nice, normal guy. He seems to, I don't think he has a bad bone in his body yet, from what we've seen thus far anyway. So, you know, he seems very nice.
I've always felt this ever since we found out that he was going to be the Bachelor. I just have very ambivalent thoughts about him. It's not good. It's not bad. I think it's very clear that he's a good guy. I think that it's clear that the show is kind of returning back to, like, their formula of, like, this is, like, a very handsome white man looking for love. But yeah, outside of that, I don't feel any strong feelings about him being the person whose love story we're going to see. Like, the date didn't really solidify anything for me.
Yeah.
I didn't think that, like, I understood that he, like, cried about the letter, which I thought was really emotional. But, like, if I had to pick someone that, like, really deserved to, like, have their story told, it would be Olu.
Yeah, I felt like Olu was so just, like, sweet and genuine. Like, when he told Michelle about that whole Martin thing, like, that to me felt, like, so authentically, like, it was almost like he was like, I know I'm not gonna end up with Michelle. Like, I know that, you know, it's not gonna be us. So let me just do what I can to, like, look out for her. It was almost like, it felt like very, like, Michelle's a good person, and I want her to end up with the right guy. I know it's not going to be me, but I don't want her to end up with someone who's going to hurt her. And, like, that to me is just, like, so, that is just how you can really tell that someone is so genuinely a good person, because even though he knew that he wasn't going to be with Michelle, he still cared about her and wanted her to be okay. In comparison to Martin, who was like, oh, you don't like me? Well, you're immature and, like, you don't deserve me and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was such a gross response to rejection versus Olu. I feel like we saw so many like really like desirable qualities in him. You're right. It would have been so good to see Olu be the next Bachelor. I would have loved to see that.
I would have the way that he looked out for her was like kind of like someone looking out for their family member or like their best friend. Like for him to take very little time that he had with Michellle and be like, look, I'm noticing something that's happening in the house and I'm not the kind of person to spread shit. I'm not the person to just like say whatever. I like genuinely am noticing that someone is around that is actively degrading you and the conversations they're having with the people in the house behind your back. When he didn't get the rose and the camera panned to him and he had like that smile on his face, I was like, oh my god, he like knows he's not going to be chosen. He knows that their connection isn't as strong.
Right, exactly. It was like he knew and yet he still wanted to protect her. Like he still cared about her. And like that is so big. Like what a big-hearted person.
Olu for Bachelor, you know?
Olu for Bachelor, please. Yeah. I just feel like we didn't need the Clayton story. We've seen the Clayton story. We know the Clayton story. Attractive, hunky, white sport guy and like being cute and sporty. Like we get it. We've seen it. We know his story. We don't need his story again. I just wish I just wanted to see there were so many great guys on Michelle's season, or so interesting guys, and like people who are so different from what we usually see on this show that they've picked out the one like most generic guy to make the next lead. It was just, and it felt like in this episode they were really trying to like sell us on him. Like it felt like they spent a long time just being like, see, you like him, right? See? Yeah, there were just much more interesting people, I think, to cast as the lead, to give us intrigue and interest, and Clayton just really wasn't it.
Or something teachable. Like, I think that's something really beautiful about Michelle's season. Maybe that's why her ratings haven't been as high as other seasons, because of racism, and also because, like, she doesn't tolerate drama. She doesn't, like... I mean, Martin did stay around, but as soon as she, like, had confirmation that little suspicion that she had about him was being confirmed, that he wasn't a good guy, she immediately like nipped it in the bud. She didn't let her feelings, however nascent they were for him, kind of like overpower her gut instinct that if this is a man that's talking bad about me now, how is he going to talk about me down the line in the relationship, you know? So like I loved Michelle's season for that reason. I think that Clayton's season we'll probably get that conventional happy ending. I'm 95% sure that they're not going to stay together long term. A lot of Bachelor couples usually don't. I think he does want marriage and a family. Does he want it in the franchise? Probably not, with like the influencing. That's me being like really cynical about the franchise though. Yeah.
I mean, I agree completely. Obviously most couples who get together on The Bachelor don't end up together. There are a few exceptions, but very few compared to the number of couples that come out of Bachelor Nation. Like, there's just so few of them that end up staying together.
So few.
I will say one thing about Clayton is... I think a thing that people often get wrong when they're trying to, like, analyze relationships is this idea that, like, people need to be super... emotionally complex and deep to have a successful relationship. And I kind of get the sense that Clayton doesn't have a lot of depth, but I also think that's fine, if that makes sense. Like, I think that, like, if you...
It's a different kind of love story.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, there's plenty of, like, very nice women out there who are good people, maybe aren't, like, the most complex people, but they're good people, and they just want to find a partner who's also like chill and good. And like I kind of feel like I almost have a sense that Clayton is ultra compatible with lots of kinds of people who are like that, who are a little bit just like kind of simple, just like wants to have a simple good life, like, you know what I mean? And like not to... I do. And this sounds like I'm shading this type of person, and I'm not. Like my point is, in fact, I bet these people are significantly more happy than people who like myself, who's just like running my brain
or me.
All the
I know.
As
soon as I said that, I was like, girl, that's not me. I am so in my head.
There are just so many simple, nice women in the world that I think would be super compatible with Clayton. And I use the word simple again. It sounds like a diss, and it's not. Like I aspire to be simple, and instead I am like just like falling in the depths of my own emotions, like just like swirling.
I'm just constantly in despair. I'm like, how can I get over to where Clayton's at?
I crave simplicity. I think that sounds so nice. And so I just feel like there are plenty of like really amazing women like that who would be very happy with a guy like Clayton, and who Clayton would be really happy with. And so I actually feel like Clayton...
Oh, he's going to have an easy season.
I kind of feel like he'll have an easy season. I suspect that I think that he, as long as they get the right, like, kind of types of people in his cast, like the producers, I mean, I feel like he actually has a high chance of finding someone that he could be, like, long-term compatible with. Because I just think there's so many of those types of people out there in comparison to people who are either messier or just like kind of have like a lot more like
a lot of stuff they're working on. Yeah.
Stuff like they're working on. Yeah. Right. And so I kind of, in that sense, think that Clayton could find his love story on The Bachelor. But I kind of get the sense that he's a little bit of a simpler guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's probably great. I actually think that he would be great with, I could think of like a handful of women from Bachelor Nation who he would be very compatible with.
Me and Kelly, I mean, we will be recapping that season too, and we'll just be, watching it.
We'll be here watching it.
We'll be watching it.
Same shit.
Doing the same shit. Hopefully, like, I think it'll have a lot of drama in it. I do think it's going to have huge ratings because it's directly catering to the Bachelor audience that probably isn't watching Tayshia's season, Michelle's season. Which I don't love, that they cater to that, but what can we do? The people have spoken. We have him. The people have spoken. So that's it.
Here he is. That's all. So let us know what you all think about Clayton down below, and also what you think about Michelle's Final Four. Honestly, like, one thing I will say about Michelle's season, like, it is so cool that the Final Four is just 4 brown dudes, like, all men of color. That is freaking awesome. That is so exciting. It is just historic and unheard of on this season. On this franchise. And so, honestly, I am so excited to see these last 4 episodes or so of Michelle's season, and to just see these like brown love stories unfold. That just really warms my heart. Like, it is so exciting to see this type of love story on a national platform. And you know what? If the rest of America doesn't care, I think we know why.
We know why. It's clear.
For the last thing that we'll do is we're going to talk about our Bachelorette league. So for those of you who don't know, me and Julie are currently competing in a Bachelorette fantasy league, which means we watched the first episode of Michelle's season and then tried to guess who would make it through to the end of the season. So we were guessing based on just that first episode who we thought was going to make it each week. We're going to put up on the screen what we guessed for this week's episode. So, Julie, you did it.
I did it.
I did it.
I did it. What?
Julie, you
I'm
guessed.
Shocked.
This is our first week where you like got the most correct.
What?
Guys? You guessed the Final Four.
I thought Clayton was going to be, I didn't include him in the top 4.
You did put Clayton in the top 4. So you guessed that the top 4 would be Brandon, Clayton, Nate, and Joe. So you got all of them except for Clayton wrong. It was Rodney, not Clayton. But that's amazing. I mean, everyone thought Clayton was going to be in the top 4 because of spoilers about his Bachelor season. So you really nailed it. You believed in Brandon. I did not believe in Brandon. Nobody believed in Brandon other than you.
I saw something. Yeah. It was like, this boy can smooth talk his way into the finale.
I mean, you do keep him until the final 2, which is a little bit shocking to me, but I guess we'll see. You were the only one who believed in him.
I guess, like, the first episode, I just, like, really, the vibes between them, I was like...
You were vibing.
I just always feel like when there's that spark of something, I have my opinions about what that means, but, like, it's so compelling for some people that you just kind of, like, remember that and keep them all the way through. Oh my God, Kelly, I'm pretty excited. I was doing so bad for a while. I was just failing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm
Wow.
excited for you. My final four is pretty
Whoa.
weak sauce. So
Tell
my
me
final
yours.
four that I had guessed was Joe and Nate, Clayton, and Rick. So
Rick.
I have
He was a
regrets.
sleeper.
Clayton and Rick.
He was a sleeper. Yeah.
And he continued to sleep. He's asleep still. He's gone and sleeping now.
He's in bed. Like Michellle put him
He's
to
in
bed
bed.
and sent him home. Yeah.
Sent him home.
Yeah, he was
So,
a little bit like I couldn't see it on this date or that episode.
couldn't
I
see
was
it
like,
either.
wow, like the chemistry isn't
Like
really there.
It ain't there. Exactly.
That ain't it.
I'm curious, who did you think was going to be in the top four? Let us know down below. Who would you have guessed from that night one? Who would have been in the top four? And how do you feel about the four that she's picked? Do you think that those are the right four for her? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, so that's it for this week's episode. Thanks for watching our Bachelorette recap for Michellle Young's season. Make sure to subscribe, give us a like, and let us know what you thought about the episode in the comments. I know that it was a little bit of a interesting one getting to the final four, but I love it. I think her final four makes a lot of sense. So tell us who you think you're vibing with, and we will see you next week for Hometowns. We'll be in Minnesota. Yay! Bye!
Bye!